No, no.
All right, guys, thank you for coming. You should be able to see my screen at this point. Okay. So let's go over some stuff. Right now, market is having a little bit of a move upside after hours, which is kind of expected. Okay, so we want to take a look at this. Okay, so a few things here. So let's kind of start from top to bottom. Looking at SPY, obviously the most important chart in the market right now. Okay, so a few things to look at, especially on the weekly time frame. So first thing that we are noticing is we've been talking about it for a while now. The first warning sign was the fact that this weekly squeeze had fired off to the upside. We had a nice upside move, and then we began to lose momentum. And then you can kind of see once we got that first bar of confirmed lower momentum here, you can see we made one more new high, but besides that, we're really been just trading in a range between like that 523 to about like 508, so about a $15 range. And so you can see here, once this kind of weekly candle closed, so anything past that has pretty much been some chop. Okay, and that is to be expected. Next thing was we wanted to look for, okay, if we had a break of the low of the high bar, so the candle that made a high, let's make sure we see this accurately. So here's the high, 524.61, 524.38. So this was the high bar, or the candle that made a high. Okay, was this one right here. Now we were looking for a break of this low and a close below it on the weekly time frame to kind of confirm a maybe a potential shift and a move back into the 21 EMA on the weekly time frame. Okay, so that would put us at about that 493 area. Now we do have to be aware we've got this key psychological level here. I'm not saying this is going to happen right in an instant. but this is starting to look almost exactly like what happened in here. Weekly squeeze, lost momentum, and then got that break of the high of the or the low of the high bar. Once we got that, we made a pretty swift move back to the 21 EMA. Now, do I think it's going to happen that fast? No. I think we're a little more extended than that, but these are all signs that we are breaking down because last week we got the first close below that level there, and um, so that's the weekly time frame. We've known this was coming. It was just a matter of when. We've been day trading a bit more to avoid the kind of the chop. And so now if we go to the daily time frame, we had this pretty crazy move on Thursday. Some people said it was Ukraine in talks about joining NATO. Some people said it was about potential Fed speakers saying that we're not going to get any rate cuts this year. Doesn't really matter. What it really comes down to is we had this huge, basically we gapped up and then dropped from 524 almost to 512. So it was pretty huge drop in terms of a normal trading range for a spot. Almost two average true ranges. So then we're looking at this, and ever since then, we have been trading within this candle's high and low. So we basically had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside days. On top of that, once we got, here's the thing I want you to notice. So we have this high here, and then we have this low here. You can see this low was tested 1, 2, 2 times, and then the third time it ended up breaking. Here you could see every time we tried to push up to test this high, we couldn't even get there, and it was just creating a series of higher, lower highs and lower lows. Okay, and so when we're looking at that, that's kind of a warning sign. So if you're just that's so we got the break on Friday, and we played that a couple times actually. Now, if we go to lower time frames, we can see here, nice hourly squeeze that pushed us down into 2 ATR. And so going into this week being Monday, I was kind of expecting a bounce because we were at 2 ATR on the 4 hour, we were at 1 ATR on the daily, that bottom band, 2 ATR on the 2 hour, 2 ATR on the 1 hour, and then out towards 2 ATR, 3 ATR on the 30 minutes. So it was kind of signaling for any normal market movements, we were probably going to get a bounce back, a retracement. But here's the next thing. If we drop down to the lower time frames, we can see 195 minutes. So we have a 4 hour squeeze, and can add that in there, or well, we don't really need to. So we have a 4 hour squeeze. Okay. Now here's the thing. I think there was a lot of people that were looking for this breakout here, and we did a good job on Friday of anticipating the breakout and being able to catch the downside on that. But now I think we're probably going to sweep some stops and break some liquidity. Okay. Or whatever you want to call it. I'm not too crazy into the liquidity concepts. I just know the facts of where people will place their stops, and we can kind of benefit off that. So I would imagine that a lot of people looked for the break here. We finally got it. Now they wanted to get short. And now we're seeing a bounce in the market, as you can see, overnight. And I'm not surprised that we are. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up for sure is I know a lot of people in the chat, I don't know who it was, but people were talking about how the markets might tank from war news. Now, this makes sense in like any normal way of thinking, right? But here's the thing. initial reactions, the market drops. Okay. Typically, when the news first comes out, market drops, kind of has drops like this, whatever. It's kind of unexpected. But one thing that does also happen, historically, since I believe it's like World War II, anytime we've had political tensions, things like that, or a war, the market rallies historically as a result of that. So typically there's negative reactions in the beginning, and then overall the market begins to they tend to rally seasonality based on war. But that's just a side fact, and that doesn't really play into anything we really care about right now. So, but okay, anyway, so what I'm looking at is we will probably get a bounce into tomorrow. I was kind of anticipating that. Looks like it might be starting here this morning. Um, but one thing that I'm really paying attention to is this 4 hour squeeze. So I'm looking for really a retracement back towards that 21 EMA and looking for any shorting opportunities to go short SPY and look for continued downside and kind of just ride this trend. Now, although you're saying I'm bullish because we might get a bounce into tomorrow. No, I would not be playing this bounce. Maybe on the 5 minute for a day trade. But what I am looking for is, okay, if you look at the 2 hour time frame or really any lower time frame, you can see here, we've got this pretty consistent trend of lower highs and lower lows. So you want to be aware of this. Now, one level that you can use until we make a new low, that may be helpful for you is if you use kind of this area right here. So the high, really it's going to be the high of this candle, but anything above this kind of area right here, level I can give to you is like this really 519.50 to 520 area. So those are the ones you kind of want to pay attention to. So yeah, this is what I would be watching into tomorrow and the rest of this week. How I'm expecting this to play out is just a bounce and then continued downside. Now, if I look at this bounce and kind of place it here, that we may bounce right into this area just based on like symmetry. We go the daily time frame, and you can see it comes about right to that 21 EMA on a daily time frame. So I'm looking for kind of continuation with that as well. So that's the main thing I'm watching, the 4 hour squeeze. Let's see, do I got a good chart on here? SPY. We go 4 hour. You can see the EMAs are starting to stack negative below that 50 EMA. So really, I like a short anywhere in this kind of area. It gives us enough room to pop up above this inside day break to sweep some people out. And it's kind of an area of congestion with the 55 EMA, so on and so forth. So I do like a potential trade within that area. Okay, so that's that. And then that's kind of the main thing I'm paying attention to. So it's really SPY. I've put more emphasis on SPY. What I'm going to be spending most time on watching SPY, SPX, ES. I like to trade the futures contracts as well as SPY options, but I mean, anything you're seeing in the market kind of goes with this. So if I believe that pretty much everything else is going to move with SPY. And so that kind of goes for QQQ, Apple, things like that. Now, we do have some news coming out this week. And we've got a lot of Fed speakers. So we need to be aware of that. We have Fed speakers on Monday, Tuesday. Powell speaks on Tuesday at 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. We got speakers on Wednesday, Thursday. We have Fed speakers every day this week. So that's something you want to pay attention to going into this week for sure. And keep an eye on that because I think that's going to be something that could shake up the markets a little bit. But Powell speaking on Tuesday, that's something good to note. We have initial jobless claims on Thursday. And then other than that, we don't have too much that's going to shake up the market. I mean, you just have to be aware of these Fed speakers speaking throughout the week, and those can bring some volatility, like we saw on this day right here. So do you guys have any stocks that you want me to look at? Anything you want me to take a look at? I will throw a few names at you, but you can put any of the stocks you want me to look at in the chat, and I can go over those. So NVIDIA is one. So this one, I'm kind of interested in this. I'm looking to see if we can hold above the 21 EMA. So if we can hold above the 21, I like this one for upside. And I think we need to shift momentum, but this all comes down to the market. If the market's going to break down, so is this. So we just have to be aware of that. Okay, so Dow, we'll go through your requests. Oh, TSM, sorry. Okay. This one, I would look to see if it holds a 21 EMA, but it's just doing normal market movement of kind of move to the 21 or to 2 ATR back to the mean. It's been very common. You can see it. It's been doing it over and over again. You can see here, move to the 21, back to the mean, move to the 21, back to the mean. So that's what I'm kind of watching. So for this one, I think it still looks bullish. It's just, is the rest of the market going to hold up? And I would like to see a hold of the 21 EMA and a bounce to go long. But right now, I wouldn't be shorting this name. It's up near all-time highs. It's got good strength. So I would be cautious of shorting this one. If we go look at maybe the lower time frames. Lower time frames look like they're starting to break down some. So I'd be aware of that. Yeah, I'd just be a little cautious trying to get long this one. But it has potential to move higher. So yeah. AMD, this one is a short, at least for right now. I think any pops to the 21 EMA, you can short it. We've got earnings coming up. So if it was going to reverse, it would probably reverse now for a run in earnings, but I don't think that's likely. You can kind of see a consistent trend of, you can see here, before we're 21 going out, 21 EMA popping out, 21 EMA popping out. We kind of consistently did this. Now, you can see we broke that 21, came back below it, and now the 21 is acting as resistance. So I would just look for continuation of that. We do have support right here. If we break this, we're going to flush. Would I short it here? No, I would say we're probably going to bounce. So from here. So if we do bounce, look for shorts at the 21 EMA and just be cautious of the support level. And that support level comes from previous all-time highs. Dow. AMD. Oh, did I do Dow? No, I don't think I did. This one looks pretty good. Let's see, we've got some resistance up here. and then more resistance right here. So I don't love the double top at resistance, kind of being shown here. Is the setup still bullish? Earnings, I guess, was bullish. So I mean, what I would look for is as long as it holds a 21 EMA, I would look at this bullishly and trade it to the upside until it breaks that 21 EMA. I think it's got pretty good risk to reward here in terms of EMA. 21 EMA is kind of your line in the sand. And then if it pops up to, you would be looking for it to pop up into here. But I would imagine it's going to have a pretty hard time breaking through $50, especially the way the market is acting. ZC corn futures. This looks like a short. Could this be accumulation? Maybe, but the trend is clearly down. So I can't say that I would get long this. And it looks like it's setting up in a squeeze. I think it's probably going to be another short. I mean, it's been in a strong downtrend. Wow, that's been. If I would have seen this chart before, I would have been shorting it all the way down. Perfect setups here over and over again, holding the 21 EMA, and you can kind of see this is a beautiful chart showing the relationship to the ATRs and the 21 EMA. You can just see 2 ATR, 21 EMA, 2 ATR, break above the 21, popping out to 2 ATR, and then breaking it. And then it's just consistent pattern of out to the ATR bands, back to the 21 EMA, and just continued trend. So looks good. I would short it, if anything. Now, safer bet, maybe wait for the range break. But right now, we're just trading in a range between here and here. So we're range bound. So I guess I would play the range. And the Keltner channels show this as well. Like they're starting to flare out a little bit, but they're also completely neutral. Like see how they went from strong downtrending like train tracks to the downside, and now they have completely shifted to this. So you just got to be aware of that, and play the chop accordingly, or try to position yourself for the break. SMH. So we've talked about a good bit of the semis already, but this one, it looks like it might be starting to break down now. It's entirely, this one is one of the ones like DAL, that one and corn futures obviously are not going to be completely contingent on what SPY and QQQ do. But in this case, this one is really going to do whatever the S&P 500 does, and QQQ is completely dependent on it. So I think the chart looks excellent in terms of upside. But the thing is, if it doesn't have the wind at its back with the market, it's not going to do anything. So like the chart itself looks really good. Now the problem is the market. Now if the market can clean up its act, but right now I wouldn't be long or looking to get long anything, just because of the way the market is downtrending. But I think if the market can clean up what it's doing, then you could look to get long SMH. This is one of the better looking spots out there in terms of sectors. So let me show you this real quick. So this is kind of my internals chart. So this one we don't have too much to talk about here. It's pretty neutral. But one of the things I want you guys to note is you can see we were kind of, this is rates, right? So this is futures. bond futures, and you can kind of see that we were downtrending. But it also looked like a bull flag. So what I'm looking for is if we can't bounce here, we're going to continue down lower. And what is currently happening is the markets are trying to price in what the S&P or these Fed speakers are coming out saying these new things, right? They're saying we're not getting any rate cuts. They're contradicting Jerome Powell. They are CPI came out a little hot this week, which caused this big red candle here breakdown on the bond futures. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why does this matter to me? Because if bonds are moving lower, this ticker is ZB. If bonds are moving lower, then this is going to be difficult on stocks. This is an issue for stocks, okay? This is when rates were at its peak, and here we are now. Now, if these continue to break lower, which we have a squeeze that is actually breaking lower to the downside, this is going to be hard on stocks, especially tech stocks, the NASDAQ. So if this is moving lower, you have to be slightly concerned because you have to be aware of it because it's going to put pressure on tech stocks because it's going to make bonds more attractive and people are going to flood into bonds rather than trying to be in the what do you call it? The indexes, equities. They're going to float towards safety, which would be a consistent monthly income from interest rates. Okay. So that's that. That's first. That's bonds. Okay. On top of that, the US dollar. The US dollar has been breaking out. You can see, based on the trend, we had a breakout here and a nice move up. And so what we have to be aware of is, yeah, we might have a little bit of a pullback, but the weekly time frame for the dollar has a weekly squeeze and it's starting to fire off. Now, could we see it potentially in a new high from back in October? Yeah, this is also going to put more pressure on stocks because if the bond or the dollar is valued more, it means the market is going to have to reprice equities, meaning stock market. Like it's going to have to reprice how much Apple is worth, how much Microsoft is worth, things like that. Okay, so when the dollar is moving higher, that is a warning sign as well. Okay, so we have to be aware of that. Next thing is the VIX has a daily squeeze. It's an A+ setup. Now, this is a very commonly mean reverting type stock. So I wouldn't be surprised if this has a move back to the kind of back to the 21 EMA. Okay, this one tends to revert back to the mean a lot. If we go to the VIX here, you can kind of see we'll have these periods of where we move up to ATR, but a lot of times we pull right back, like here, 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 here. So a lot of times it can be an opportunity to short volatility. Now, that can be risky, but if you're playing puts where your risk is managed and you can't blow up your account, it's a pretty easy thing to do. So with this here, you can see every pop to 2 ATR has resulted in a move back to 21 EMA. So those are things to be aware, but the chart looks like a setup for continuation to the upside. So we have to be aware of that as well. These are all warning signs for the market that it could head lower and put pressure on especially tech stocks. Okay, hopefully that helps. DocuSign. This one's a good looking chart as well. It's holding 21 EMA as support, so you've got a good risk to reward here. if it does continue to hold, and look for that pop to 2 ATR. Now, the only thing is that you might run into is the market might move lower, right? So we have to be aware of that. So be cautious of that, pay attention to that. And if you think the market cleans up its act, you can go along this because the chart looks good. Now, for a longer term basis, it's in within this big range that it's been in since September 22 of 22. We've just been trading in between this range of like $40 and 50 or $68. So this could just go straight back down to the bottom of the range. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing long term ended up making new lows. It's either going to reverse here or it's going to continue to make lows. But right now, you're just in a range. So I would play it that way until it breaks out. The longer it's in this range, the more you can kind of play the moves from the top of the range to the bottom to the top. DLR. Not sure what this is. This one looks pretty good. I mean, it has a strong trend to the upside, at least as of recent. So I like that. And I would imagine this probably has a pretty good looking weekly or monthly chart. Yeah. So you've got a monthly squeeze firing off to the upside. I think this one looks pretty good. So it's holding the 21 EMA on the weekly time frame here, right here. So I think that's an easy place to be your line in the sand, whether it's going to continue to move higher or not. But I think it looks good. But like I said, well, there's earnings coming up. So be aware of that. It could chop. The way it's looking, it might just chop into earnings. And we've got a little bit of a bear flag setting up. I don't know. I don't know about this one. I mean, it like there's nothing really wrong with it in the sense of like structure and all of that stuff. It's just like chart's a little weird, and I don't know how to explain that better. But I think it might just chop in earnings based on the way it's been trading. I mean, it's been trading in a range since November, when the market has been having this huge upside move, and this has been trading sideways. So that's kind of a warning sign to me. And then you've got this little bit of bear flag. I would just stay away from this one and maybe look for a stronger trending name, in my opinion. And like I was talking about earlier, those using the Keltner channels is kind of like train tracks. You can see here when we were moving upside, these were moving upside. But now you can see now they're just flat, trading sideways. Okay. If you guys have any more, give me your last few. I can take a few more, and then I'm gonna have to call it. Affirm. This one looks like a short to me. Yeah, I would short this one. I'd wait for maybe a little bit of a pullback, but I think 35 is probably a pretty nice area to short this stock. Yeah, I like it. I like it for downside. Doesn't have much support here until like right around 27. So that's a pretty nice move down for a $32 stock. Google. Okay, so this one, it's one of the strongest names out there right now. Okay. It's kind of a beast. You can see money is rotating into this one. So I think it looks good. It's got a weekly squeeze. You're pretty late here, But I think if it gets a pullback to the 21 EMA, that's an opportunity to buy. So I would look for that and look for the potential to buy when it pulls back to the 21 EMA. But right now, I wouldn't touch it up here. I would wait for it to come back down, back to reality, and then look to play a bounce to the 21 EMA. Make sure the markets look good because this one typically, well, for whatever reason, has kind of been doing its own thing, but market might dictate it a little bit. But it's showing good strength. So, like, if you were gonna pick a name to play long, this is probably one of the better ones to do it. This one and Amazon. Yeah, those charts are just a beast right now. I think Netflix, I don't know how it did on Friday. Yeah, Netflix is doing okay, but this one has earnings coming up. So, yeah, we have earnings this week. All right. All right, guys, that's all I'm going to take for tonight. Thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, just DM us in the chat. I can answer those. But looking forward to the markets this week. Going to put more emphasis on SPY, kind of day trading and trading those. But I will keep you guys posted in the chat, and I'll see you for the markets tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming.